Hi, I'm Paul King with the Indianapolis Aero Club, and I'm here this evening with Jack Pelton, who's CEO and chairman of EAA, Experimental Aircraft Association. And thank you and welcome to Indianapolis. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Paul. It's great to be here. I always like getting out and seeing the aviation groups, no matter where they are. It's great to be part of the community.
Well, this is an organization with an awful lot of EAA members, I can assure you that.
That's and quite a long history from what I understand.
That as well, since 1933, so a long time, well before me.
I wasn't going to go there.
That may surprise some people. Okay, so I'm going to...
the 30s.
You know, you've obviously having this incredible career in aviation, and I have to ask the first question, what got you started and interested in this world of airplanes?
You know, it was probably like most other young boys in the 50s. My dad was not a career aviation person. Actually, he was a dentist, but he had a Cessna 140 that was his pride and joy. He flew in the Army Air Corps, did his time, and was a passionate aviation guy, general aviation guy. And we grew up going to air shows. I was the youngest of 4 children. Built models, everything was kind of related around aviation. Yet my siblings had no interest. And for me, at a very young age, I knew I wanted to be involved in aviation, some form or fashion. And I thought being a professional pilot was going to be the path. But at that time, there was no guarantees. Vietnam War was ending, and there were more pilots than the airlines needed. And the military wasn't committing, if you joined, that they would put you in a pilot program. So I went to work at Douglas Aircraft.
Wow, and what did you do at Douglas?
I started out in operations, and then I went through a training program through engineering. Ended up being chief systems engineer for the MD-90 program, program manager on the 717, which after Boeing bought us, did a lot of program management, engineering, flight test, was in flight test for a while.
Wow.
So just a very, very fortunate experience from shop floor to negotiating contracts with the Navy. I mean, everything and anything.
And you already had your pilot's license at that time. You got that at 17
I got
or something?
it at 17, and,
wow.
And so I went in as a pilot. They had a great flying club at Douglas, so that allowed me to
fantastic?
Have a family and continue to fly and continue to learn.
Then when did you get involved with Cessna?
I got involved in Cessna in the year 2000. Boeing bought Douglas, so the feeling was at Douglas that we were all going to get shut down and move to Seattle. I ended up taking an opportunity to go to Dornier Aircraft in Munich, Germany. There was a private equity company that was buying Dornier out of bankruptcy, and they asked me to come and be the vice president program manager of a new development program. So I went over there it was one of those times in life where it was young enough to take a chance, see where it went. Went over there, and as I was at Dornier, Cessna recruited me to come run engineering and flight tests for them.
Wow. That's at a difficult time in general aviation. Wasn't enormous amount of manufacturing going on in piston singles.
The piston singles it was starting to come back, and we were still struggling on the single side. But before I took over as CEO of the company, I was very proud of some accomplishments of bringing the Garmin G1000 into the piston line. Launched the Citation Mustang, the CJ3, some other products that have to this day really. Very proud legacy of those airplanes.
Fantastic. And then what brought on the opportunity to get with the EAA?
I retired. 2011, I retired.
That did not go well then.
It did, but my wife says I failed retirement. She's not sure whether I failed it, because I think she ended up happy that I'm not home all the time. So we'll see where that ends up. But I retired. I was doing some side projects that were very interesting, still doing a lot of advocacy in DC. EA asked me to join the board. I had been retired almost a year, and it turned out that when I joined the board, they didn't tell me there was a lot of other issues going on, and they really needed some management help to get them kind of back on track. And so their quote was, "You're not doing anything, you're retired. Why don't you go fix this and clean it up?" And I said, "Okay, I'll do that, but I'm going to volunteer." Did that as a volunteer for 3 years, and then after 3 years said, "Guys, you got to go find somebody to do this. I want to go back to being retired." And they said, "It's going really well. Why don't you stick around?" So I'm now in year 5. Wow. With not any there's no sunset date out there. I'm just, as long as I'm continuing to help and hopefully leave the organization better than I found it, I'm up for the task.
Well, from somebody that's from the outside looking in, it shows that it's really managed well.
Thank you.
What's happening there is fantastic, and our organization has quite a long history with EAA, and like I said, a lot of our members are EAA members, and we even have a big party up there at Oshkosh, so we love it. So here's what, do you fly and own aircraft today?
I do. That was part of the big retirement plan. And I'll talk about it today or this evening, but I do have 5 airplanes, and each one of them has kind of a historical story and history behind it, starting with the 1942 Ryan PT-22 that is the airplane my dad got his wings in, Army Air Corps wings, at Sequoia Field in Visalia, California, which is on the airplane, and it's a plane that he actually had flown in his life.
Oh, no kidding! So you can actually
trace it
that directly to him.
And my son's named Ryan after the plane, because the plane, growing up, the plane had such great fireside chats with Dad, listening to him about learning to fly and all that. So it was really important, and I happen to just love the Ryan. It's just a beautiful, beautiful airplane. So I have that airplane. When I retired, my wife bought me, we have a hangar complex on a field called Stearman Field outside of Wichita, Kansas. There were 9 Stearmans on that field. My retirement plan was to go hang out with my 9 other retired friends who flew every day their Stearman in what was going to be my Stearman, and she bought me a Stearman that was Hap Arnold's Stearman.
Oh.
So that's the historical significance of that airplane. We bought it in Boston in 2011. I flew it home and fly it all the time. My Ryan I keep up in Oshkosh where I fly that. Bought a, not on purpose, but I bought a Cessna 195 that was Dwayne Wallace's Cessna 195. Clyde Cessna founded the company. Dwayne, his nephew, Clyde had no sons or daughters, and he handed the company over to Dwayne it was in the late 30s after the Depression. Clyde had had enough, he walked away. Dwayne was a recently minted Aero nautical engineering grad from Wichita State. Dwayne ran the company up till 1975, and that's when he retired. Russ Meyer took it over, and then I took over from Russ. So Dwayne's widow in 2000 or so, my wife got to be friends with her, and she was in her 90s, and she said, Dwayne's got these airplanes, he's passed away at 85 that we've had, they're sitting around, we have this 195, I know Jack loves 195s and has been looking around for one. Why don't you, and she looked at me and said, would you be interested? And I said, she reached out her hand, she's 90, feisty, full of life, shakes my hand and says, sold. And so my wife's on the other side. My wife said, what was that all about? I said, I have no idea, but we're going to find out. The airplane was down in Liberal, Kansas, at what was the former beach factory where they built the Skipper, and a museum that they had down there. So we got in a Flying Club airplane the next day and flew down to Liberal to see what we were up against. The airplane had sat for 16 years. We got it pulled out. I had an FBO locally kind of go through it to get a ferry permit that I flew it back to Wichita. Spent the next 9 months going through it, tearing it all apart, top to bottom. That airplane in 1985 was at Oshkosh, that was Dwayne's last visit to Oshkosh, where he won a Bronze Lindy Award, which has a little sticker in the window.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I won one in 2007.
Oh, no kidding.
And it's right next to his. So that airplane has another significant, I think that one,
sure.
I'll give to Cessna and tell them to put it in the lobby or something after I'm gone. And then my wife has the first Skycatcher, the 162 that was ever produced. And there's another long story.
So your wife flies as well?
Yes. How we ended up with that's another fun story. Because actually those first 2 airplanes were allocated to EAA. I had committed to Tom Poberezny that we'll go back into the flight sport pilot market since he created the market. We'll donate the first 2 airplanes. And I had to call Tom that night and say, I got a marital problem here. I need the first one. Can you take 2 or 3? Can you take unit 2 or 3? And after a long discussion of making me pay for it a little bit, he said, sure, we'll do that. So Rose has the first one. Then we have another Cessna that we use for transportation back and forth to Oshkosh and other parts where the grandkids are.
Fantastic. So I'm going to ask you the unfair question. So what's your favorite airplane?
Oh, that's not even fair. I mean, you have
fair.
to get into the categories of airplanes. Single engine pistons.
Is there an airplane you wish you had?
Yeah, Citation 3.
Ah, there we go.
Yeah.
Well, that works. So that could be your
Single
favorite.
pilot, I'm single pilot type rated, and I was part of the development program of that airplane, and that airplane does it all. I mean, it's
Wow.
center of the United States, either coast, all the seats full fuel, great cruise performance, great altitude, it's a great single pilot airplane. I mean, if you really needed an airplane to carry a lot of stuff coast to coast for business, it's the one to have. For fun flying, I'm torn between the Ryan and the Stearman.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
the Stearman is just a lot of fun, and it's safe, it's big, it's beefy, it's well built. The Ryan is a wannabe little fighter. I mean, the plan that they developed it was to go from the Ryan to the T6, so they swept the wing and they made the handling characteristics a little more sporty, so it's got good roll rates. And it's just a little underpowered and not a great reliable engine.
Is that your?
That is a Stearman right there, yeah.
Is that yours? Okay. Well, I got a picture of you in front of the right airplane.
You did.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Jack. I sure appreciate you spending a little bit of time with us.
You bet. It's great
and
to be.
welcome to Indianapolis, and welcome to the Indianapolis.
It's great to be in Indianapolis, and it's great to be at Aero Club. So thank you.